Welcome to the Shintaido of America podcast. Shintaido is an amazing form of health exercise and body movement practice, a non-combative training system for mind and body invented by Japanese martial artists in the 1960s. Shintaido can be a way to open up to a deeper connection with ourselves, with our community, and with nature. In Season 1 of the podcast, I'll be reading from the book Shintaido, The Body is a Message of the Universe by the founder of Shintaido, Hiroyuki Aoki. You can find links to this podcast, sign up for our free email newsletter, and find many other resources at our website, www.shintaido.org. That's www.shintaido.org. Hi, welcome to Episode 9 of the Shintaido of America podcast. I'm Shintaido instructor David Franklin. What do a cobbler, an infant, and a Buddhist statue have in common? This may sound at first like the setup for a joke or simply an absurd question. But in this episode, Aoki describes how his search for principles of truly natural movement led beyond the formulaic prescriptions common in many traditional martial arts. Even though babies have had no physical training, their expression of power is so strong and automatic that it is difficult for us to imitate, he writes. Paradoxically, he sees a parallel in the movements of master craftsmen, who of course are highly trained. Integrating these observations with the study of the hand gestures of ancient Buddhist statues led to the signature gesture of Shintaido called Kai Shoken, the wide-open hand with palm and fingers completely stretched. Okay, ready? Here we go. Part 1, Chapter 2, Section 7, Looking for the Strongest Technique. A long period of trial and error had to pass before we could fully understand the meaning and necessity of opening our fingers and palms in Eiko and Tenshingoso, the fundamental techniques of Shintaido. After trying many closed fist arrangements, we finally arrived at an open hand form of expression. Let me clarify this for the beginner. If you are just jabbing or punching at random, you really cannot worry about much more than how hard your fist is. A true tsuki specialist, however, tsuki means punch, or more precisely thrust, knows that the strongest fist is not the hardest fist, but the one which produces the maximum effect with the least amount of energy. The strength of a tsuki must be completely controlled so that its effect is exactly as intended. Depending on your intent, the effect should be either strong or weak. The human body is very different from bricks and boards. Sometimes the body can easily receive a tsuki that could smash a brick. At other times, however, even a weak or slow tsuki, one which only grazes the body, is enough to knock somebody down. This seems strange, but it is true. Depending on the part of the body which you are attacking, the direction of your opponent's movement, and the timing of your blow, the effect of your tsuki will be completely different. Consequently, it is always necessary to change the shape and hardness of your fist, the position of your shoulders and way of moving, and at the same time to regulate your kokyu, your breathing, concentration, and willpower. All of these factors, without exception, must be considered, mastered, and harmonized before a good tsuki can result. By the same token, a master such as Sekyun can reach a level where all these elements are a natural ingredient of his personal space. In this case, it is the world which adjusts itself and harmonizes with the man. To obtain the greatest effect with the least amount of energy, we should not depend on power which originates from a single part of the body, such as our arms or legs. Instead, we must use our holistic power, which can only be found by removing all the tension from our bodies. By making our whole body soft and fluid, our movement will naturally proceed in the direction of our aim, carrying with it our hands and feet, our arms and legs, and all the parts of our body in exactly the right balance and motion. Though it is possible to obtain limited results through the use of muscle power and bodybuilding techniques, what I was looking for was something far greater, similar to the natural power and grace displayed in the extraordinary movements of certain animals. If we can return to the innate condition of our infancy, we can express this graceful animal power when we move. A baby will never tense up a particular part of its body. Even though babies have had no physical training, their expression of power is so strong and automatic that it is difficult for us to imitate. As infants, we all had strong breathing, soft muscles, and a natural innocence which could disarm the strongest opposition. Where has this ability gone? Whenever I had the chance to play with babies, I tested my ideas with their bodies. The natural form and movement of holistic energy expression is quite different from the so-called natural movement espoused by traditional disciplines. As I was doing my research, whenever I had the opportunity, I would study the movement and technique of an experienced or skilled worker, a shoemaker, farmer, fisherman, or other craftsman very intently. On close inspection, I discovered that as an artisan works, his seemingly slow movements are soft and devoid of shoulder tension. Perhaps this is why they can work so rapidly with a technique that looks sublime compared to an amateur. Following this thread, after a long time, I finally found that the open hand, in which the hand is pulled back, the palm pushed out, and the fingers stretched to their limits, was stronger than the hardest fist, because when we open our hands, we can automatically express the full power of our life energy. As a result, when this form was used for attack and defense, the damage inflicted on one's partner was infinitely greater than before. My joy at this discovery was similar to that of catching a very large fish. Previously in my studies, I had discovered a similar form in the old martial arts. In the traditional form, however, the palm is not sufficiently open and the wrist is not bent back enough. The form of the hand which I discovered is exactly the same as that which certain statues of the Buddha have been practicing for hundreds of years. This discovery was proof for me that our research went beyond the temporal and that we were reaching back to the origins of humanity and even life itself. By arranging these forms, I found that Jikyoken, formerly called Tetsuiken, a tightly closed fist, could best receive a Kaishoken, or open hand, attack. Musoken, a soft, relaxed hand, could best receive a Jikyoken attack, and Kaishoken could best receive a Musoken attack. This last form, Musoken, resembles the style of hand movement of a Japanese ghost. After I had made this open hand discovery, I was able to systematize attack and defense techniques. The spectrum of available responses for receiving an attack was immensely expanded. Remember, the relationships and meanings of these forms are not so simple or cut and dry. Remember that the strength of any form is not absolute. It is always relative. You've been listening to Episode 9 of the Shintaido of America podcast, a reading from the book Shintaido, The Body is a Message of the Universe by Hiroyuki Aoki. If you enjoyed today's podcast, the most important thing you can do to help is to tell people about us. Share the podcast on your social media and give us a good rating on whatever platform you're using to listen to this right now. Shintaido of America is a member-supported nonprofit organization, and there are many ways to support our truly micro-budget production of educational materials. And I really mean that. We produce a huge amount of content on volunteer power, but some things just require a few bucks in the bank. So make a donation or become a member of Shintaido of America. You can do that, sign up for our free email newsletter, and also find all kinds of free educational resources at our website, www.shintaido.org. That's whiskey.Sierra Hotel India November Tango Alpha India Delta Oscar Oscar Romeo Golf. You can also find us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube by searching for Shintaido of America. And our email address is podcast@shintaido.org. Our episode today was recorded and edited by me, David Franklin, with support from Sarah Baker, Connie Borden, Teresa Soldatova, Jim Sterling, the Joe Zawilski Memorial Fund, and of course, the members of Shintaido of America. Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Shintaido of America podcast. I'm Shintaido instructor David Franklin. Contents of this podcast, copyright Shintaido of America 2022. Shintaido, opening to life.